The single-seat F-15 first flew in July 1972. The twin seat followed a year later. By late 1974, the first jets were delivered to the Air Force, and in January 1976, it entered frontline service. So yeah, its first flight was over 50 years ago. And the very first jets, delivered more than half a century back. Retired by now? Not even close. The F-15 is still flying and could stay up there for 30 more years. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. The F-15 Eagle was designed by McDonnell Douglas as America's ultimate air superiority fighter. The story behind it? That starts during the Vietnam War, which many call the golden age of American jet combat. At the time, the US was growing concerned. The F-4 Phantom, once dominant, was starting to lose its edge, especially against Soviet-built fighters like the MiG-21. That's when the US decided air superiority had to be the top priority. No compromises. In the early 1960s, Defense Secretary Robert McNamara pushed a bold idea. One jet for everyone. His goal? Cut costs by creating one plane for both the Air Force and Navy. The result? The F-111. It could handle mid-range strikes and long-range intercepts. But air superiority? That wasn't part of the deal. And that was a problem. While the US was still figuring things out, the Soviets made their move. In 1967, at the Domodedovo Air Show, they shocked the West with the MiG-25. Twin engines, giant wings, twin tails. It looked like a monster built for speed and raw power. And just seeing it, enough to send US defense circles into panic mode. Now, this was also a time of rapid technological leaps. So the US naturally assumed that the MiG-25 had cutting-edge radar, advanced weapons, and ultralight composite materials. Then came the numbers. In October 1967, the MiG-25 was clocked at nearly 2,981 kilometers per hour over a 500-kilometer course. It even reached an altitude of 115,000 feet. That's over 35,000 meters, making it the first aircraft to break that ceiling. No wonder the Pentagon was sweating. But when the US finally got a look in 1976, let's just say, the hype turned into a laugh. In September 1976, Soviet pilot Viktor Belenko did the unthinkable. He defected. Flying a MiG-25 out of a base in the Far East, he landed in Japan. Just like that, the US finally got what it wanted. A full hands-on look at the MiG-25. No guesses. No grainy photos. From the outside, it looked like the F-15 Soviet cousin. But inside, a very different story. It was mostly built from heavy nickel-steel alloy, nearly twice as heavy as the F-15. Those giant wings? Not for agility, just to lift all that weight. It could only pull about 4.5 Gs, and its combat radius was just 300 kilometers. Even worse, it ran on outdated vacuum tubes, and the radar lacked basic look-down capability. Ironically, the West's overestimation of the MiG-25 led to something pretty great. In September 1968, the US Air Force issued a call for proposals to major aircraft manufacturers. They wanted a true air-to-air fighter. Single-seat, twin-engine, with a max takeoff weight of 40,000 pounds, about 18 tons. It had to hit Mach 2.5 and maintain a thrust-to-weight ratio of 1:1, even with combat load. 4 companies submitted designs, but in December 1969, McDonnell Douglas got the green light. According to the US Air Force, the F-15 Eagle is a highly agile tactical fighter, built to secure and maintain air superiority in any combat zone. They emphasize its unmatched mix of maneuverability, acceleration, range, weapons load, and advanced avionics. Not just a fighter, it's a precision tool of dominance. The F-15 measures 19.44 meters long, 5.6 meters tall, with a 13-meter wingspan and a weight of about 14.37 tons. It's powered by 2 Pratt & Whitney F-100 engines. Unlike the steel-heavy MiG-25, the F-15 uses lightweight materials. 37.3% aluminum, 29.2% honeycomb, 25.8% titanium, plus some composites and fiberglass. Strong, but without the bulk. The F-15 was originally designed for an airframe life of 4,000 hours, but with service life extension programs, that's been doubled to 8,000 hours, and some aircraft they've flown even longer. Top speed? Mach 2.5, and it can pull up to 9 Gs in a turn. Its range is about 5,500 kilometers, with a combat radius of nearly 1,967 kilometers. As for radar, it uses the AN/APG-63 pulse Doppler system. According to the Air Force, this versatile radar can look up at high-flying targets and down at low-flying ones. Without being confused by ground clutter, it also excels at beyond visual range combat and can track fast, low-flying targets with precision. One of the F-15's biggest strengths, its insane weapons loadout. It carries a 20mm cannon with 940 rounds, plus air-to-air options like 4 AIM-9 Sidewinders, or 4 AIM-7 Sparrows, or up to 8 AIM-120 AMRAAMs. The F-15 E-Strike Eagle, built for air-to-ground missions, can carry almost every type of bomb you can think of, laser-guided bombs, JDAMs, harpoons, you name it. And South Korea's F-15K, It even carries the Taurus cruise missile, giving it pinpoint precision against ground targets. In 1974, the US ordered 400 of the early F-15A and B models. By 1976, Israel became the first export customer, followed by Japan, Saudi Arabia, and other allies. In 1979, an Israeli pilot shot down 4 MiG-21 in one mission, proving the Eagle's lethal edge. Since then, it's seen action in the Gulf War and in Turkey, Bosnia, Afghanistan, and Iraq, building an impressive combat record. By 2008, the F-15 held an unmatched air-to-air kill ratio, 104 wins, 0 losses. That's right, undefeated in the skies. Here's a fun one. On September 13, 1985, U.S. Air Force Major Wilbert Pearson Jr. made history. Flying an F-15, he used an experimental ASM-135 missile to shoot down a decommissioned military satellite. That's right, the Eagle became the first and only fighter jet to destroy a satellite in space. Get this, it wasn't even explosive. It used pure kinetic energy. Fired at a steep 60-degree angle, it just launched straight up and smashed into the target. The launch hit 3.6 Gs, and the missile simply punched through the atmosphere, hit the satellite dead on, and turned it into dust. After dominating the skies for half a century, the F-15 evolved, reborn as the F-15X. In 2019, the U.S. Air Force announced plans to buy 144 to replace its aging F-15C/D fleet. Why not the F-22? Simple, it's too expensive to field widely. The F-15EX struck the right balance of performance and cost. Over 1,000 F-15s have been built, and they're still flying, used by the U.S., South Korea, Japan, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Singapore. Even Qatar has 36 on order. The Eagle's story isn't just about a fighter jet. It's what happens when a country takes its adversaries seriously and backs urgency with innovation. That mindset shaped half a century of dominance in the skies. So here's the real question. In the next great air war, who's preparing and who's pretending?